Well, this week, the federal government announced it has assembled a marijuana task force to begin the research and consultation phase of legalization. And the three Amigos also met in Ottawa to produce new agreements on trade, the environment, and security. So to take a closer look at all these political headlines, we are joined by Michael Geoghegan from Victoria, BC. Quite a busy week in Ottawa. Let's start with the marijuana legalization. How do you think that task force is going to work?
Well, it's an interesting choice in terms of the makeup of the task force. There's quite a bit of significant representation from British Columbia, but I think the thing that's been raised by the media, particularly here in British Columbia, is why is there no representation from anyone representing dispensaries? You have Dr. Perry Kendall, who is a senior health officer in British Columbia, but you also have people like George Chow, who's a former Vancouver City Councillor, who's opposed to safe injection sites. So the makeup of the committee is causing some concern because the fear is that you're going to come up with an overly restrictive bureaucratic system that does nothing to dent the black market for marijuana.
Right, and how long is this process, you think, going to take, and how do you think Canadians will respond to that?
Well, it's going to be interesting, and the way Canadians respond will, quite frankly, differ from province to province. In British Columbia, if they come up with a system that's modeled on what Kathleen wants, she wants to sell it through the LCBOs, and it certainly looks like they're going to come up with a system that gives the Premier of Ontario her wish. And they're doing that, they want the revenue, right? A system like that in British Columbia is problematic for two reasons. One, there's existing dispensaries in Vancouver and Victoria. Second of all, in British Columbia, we also have private liquor stores. So are we going to say no to dispensaries and yes to private liquor stores? And in Alberta, they have a lot of, even more in the way of private liquor stores. So, and then of course, there's others who are saying, putting alcohol and marijuana together is a very bad thing to do. So, it's going to be controversial. They're going to roll out something in 2017. I suspect government has learned nothing from the way they've changed things over the years in terms of alcohol. And so I expect the initial legal system to be probably overly restrictive and probably too high in price and too low in terms of quantity and quality and variety, what consumers want. So I would suspect that at the end of the day, there's probably still going to be a thriving black market for marijuana. It's just how bad the decisions government make will depend whether the market grows or actually contracts.
Right, and also let's talk about the three Amigos. They met in Ottawa this week. Results, what are the key takeaways from that summit?
Well, the wonderful thing that Canada got out of it is we can now export beef to Mexico, and of course the thing that the Mexico got was that we've lifted or will be lifting the visa requirement. So for Canada and Mexico, there was some real progress made. But the more important thing was that with President Obama is that it was coming directly on the heels of the surprising Brexit vote over in the United Kingdom, and so it was a way for those three leaders to say to the world, look, international trade, international cooperation, it's still the way to go, and look at what we're doing here over in North America. So I think it was, in a sense, just as they've used Prime Minister Trudeau in the American media as kind of an example of here's the opposite of Donald Trump, and look, it seems to be working okay. They're using this as look at how our three countries are working together, and perhaps Britain and Europe, etc. Maybe you can work things out over there.
Okay, thanks so much, Michael.
Thank you.